Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lumastic Live, the show where me and my lovely co-host Joshua Blair and fellow member of Lumastic talk about shit that's going on with our website. So Joshua, great to see you. What up?
Great to see you too, Drew. How you doing?
What a great intro that was, right?
Yeah. Hello, co-host.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. All right. So in this Lumastic Live, Joshua, we've got some stuff to talk about. First, you have very good news to share with the rest of the community, our audience. And then there are a couple of things I want to talk about, including NFTs, which I don't know if you know about, but would love to pick your brain on here. And then some updates about like how we're reaching out and trying to talk to like other people in like the creator industry, like creator economy, including some like YouTube creators that I've wanted to talk to for years and now have like a reason to. And then updates about like what's going on with development of the website and like how things are going and all that jazz. So first things first, though, Joshua, tell us your exciting news. If you can share. If you can share with our audience here.
Yes. Well, Monday, after a very long weekend of waiting, after a week, actually, I heard back from the Johns Hopkins Center for Bioengineering, Innovation, and Design and got into the master's program.
Oh!
Yeah, I literally was... Yeah, I literally, the thing is, I heard from someone that they got a call and then I got your decision notification. So I was checking my phone. And so then I got an email, like your decision notifications in the portal. And I was like, no, like I was like, why? Like, is this a no? Like, were they supposed to call me? And then of course it was like an 8-point font. And I was like, I was,
let's go.
But yeah, very good news.
Wow, it's so exciting. And so we were talking a little bit before, but for people who don't understand how fucking cool this program is, Joshua described it to me as like an accelerator master's program where you get partnered with people, you can work on projects, and it's just kind of like a create your own adventure, and you're like advised and helped along the way, and you just get to make cool stuff.
Very much so. Yeah.
So cool. So cool. Well, shout out Joshua, going places, moving up in the world.
Appreciate it.
And now you'll be moving where is it? Where is Johns Hopkins? Baltimore?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. You're gonna have to find a nice safe place in Baltimore.
Most people every single person they've been like, oh, congrats, like Johns Hopkins, and they go, where is it? And I go, Baltimore, and they go, oh, okay.
Yeah, no shade to Baltimore, or anybody that lives there. It's just right, that city has been hit hard, and so
you need to revitalize that local economy.
That's right. Revitalize that local economy. That's right. They need
fitting.
Yeah. They need low key there. Okay, cool, man. That's great. All right, next thing up, right, is something you were alluding to before we started recording. It's the precipice for just like us hitting record was updates to the website. So for current members, there's seemingly no change, right? Like you get into the app regardless, and it's all fine. But here, I'll try to actually demo this, if this will work. Oh, and I'm gonna press. Yeah. Okay, cool. So Joshua, you can't see this, but imagine we are looking at the Lumastic landing page, and mine's in dark mode right now, but now people see like this lovely little landing. Joshua, if you wanted to pull it up on your own computer so you can see along with me, but you see like a lovely landing page that is more communicative of like what Lumastic is actually trying to do, right? We're trying to be a workplace designed for artists, creators, makers, entrepreneurs, freelancers, podcasters, all that stuff. We have a lovely little a series of graphics that I spent way too fucking long making with a new mascot that the community has named Lux, which I love. And yeah, it's just like him as, or him, her, whatever, that it as like a little creator, like working on projects, waving at you, showing off like why this space is really cool and how this can be kind of this collaborative workspace where we all work independently together, right? Big ecosystem of creativity on the internet. So this was very exciting. It also means that like now we've moved to a complete referral system. So to actually get access to the website, you need to know somebody who's currently in the community, which helps us a lot with content moderation, which we talked about last week, and also helps us build that like, little exclusivity, like stuff like that. So super fun times. I'm going to stop sharing that now and go back to our little scene. But it's very exciting. And it was our first kind of project for our like new team, essentially, to be like, okay, hey, we want to lock down the website, we want to move to a referral system, we got to do it in a week. And we did. We pushed on Monday night, I think, and it's very exciting.
I'm curious, how long did it take you to do the animations and all that?
Yeah, so to do I literally like dreamt, this sounds like so like artist, like torture artist thing, but I literally dreamt Lux. I like had a dream about this like character that represented like the light, right? The spark, the creative person inside of us, right? And it's like our little creative soul. I was watching a lot of Pixar movies, so I think that helps. But yeah, I woke up that morning and Faith, Sarah's best friend, was staying over at our house, and she's a pretty good drawer, and I can't draw, and I was like, Faith, like I have this idea and I need you to like concept up for me a little. And so we spent like 30 minutes like drawing just a little swoopy orb shape. Yeah. And then I spent the next 8 hours doing all of the graphics and like to do like the lamp on the desk and like putting the character in different poses to show off like the two characters podcasting, I think is like my favorite. Actually no, my favorite is Lux behind the desk waving at you. That's like super cute to me. So yeah, so it took a long time, and like I probably shouldn't have spent that long doing it, but I did.
I have to ask though, is the Lux behind the desk and inspired by you? Because I see the cup of coffee and just
yes, yes, that's my Easter egg to myself. That's my Easter egg to myself. And I'm in our next iterations, when we actually have like some time and some designers can scale this out a little, I'd like to actually do the characters based on people. And so like, or I think it'd be fun to have like Casey Neistat actually as the vlogger, right? Like I think that this would be like a really interesting concept. And yeah, so those are my thoughts there. But it was a fun time, cool project. It was the first thing that I had actually drawn in Illustrator like myself, which was a cool experience. But yeah, super happy, fun times.
That's awesome. So now I'm curious. NFTs, because I don't know much, so I want you to dive in and educate me.
Yes, NFTs, the fucking future of the ways that creators can make digital goods. So NFT stands for non-fungible token, and that's like not really that important of knowing what that means, but like a fungible token is like a dollar bill, right? Like it is the same to everyone. There's no unique thing about it. Non-fungible means that it is actually unique. It's verified unique. And so what NFTs are is now a way for like creators to essentially sign digital goods, like essentially encrypting them in a special way and like signing them. So then you could have like a YouTuber could say like, hey, you can buy a signed copy of my YouTube video, and there are only 300, and like boom, you can like go and purchase it on like an NFT store that's integrated on my website or whatever it is. It's really, really cool. And so it's like actually verifiable so that this people who have built communities and audiences and all that stuff can sign stuff like you would with a physical poster or whatever, but with a digital good. And it's so cool, and it's like the fucking future. I was doing an Spark Spotlight on Destin George Bell, who's an entrepreneur, member of the platform. Sorry if you hear my dog shaking. That's his double ear infection, which is sad boy hours. Pour one out for Kato. But yeah, he runs this YouTube channel called Bucket Patrol, and he's really into NBA and the NBA 2K game and stuff. And the NBA has an NFT system for buying like clips of, they're called moments of like games. So like LeBron dunking on someone or whatever, and you can like buy a signed copy of that moment. And then you could trade it or sell it to somebody else or all that stuff. It's amazing.
That's so cool. So like, what are some like really unique examples of NFTs?
Oh, that's a great question. Do you know who Justin Kahn is?
Sounds very familiar. The name sounds
Justin Kahn's one of the founders of Twitch.
Yeah, okay. That's where.
Yeah, and so he has a YouTube channel that he is actually has NFTs for his YouTube videos. So like that's unique. The NBA Top Shot is like I think one of the biggest examples. But if you like Googled NFTs, there are a lot of people doing a lot of whack stuff. It's like very overlapped with the crypto community right now, but I think it is burgeoning for the creator ecosystem. And I know that shout out to Colin and Samir, two amazing creators on YouTube that talk about the creator economy. They are working on a video right now about NFTs, which is also why it was on my mind.
That's so cool. I was about to ask, like, it's the way you were describing it, it sounds very crypto-esque. Like, I imagine crypto people would, or probably are, like you said, all over it right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's built on the same technology. So the stuff that does cryptocurrencies, blockchain, is the same thing that does NFTs. So like blockchain is like the fucking future of the way we do stuff on the internet. And now we're just like seeing examples of this over time that are going mainstream, right? We had like fucking Bitcoin and Dogecoin like exploding over the past like 2 months, with like we're out of early adopter phase for those products, and now we're gonna start seeing blockchain be used in stuff like NFTs and like just like it's gonna get more accessible and less complicated and hard to understand, hopefully, and so more people can access it. But you mentioned like unique examples of stuff. And like use cases for NFTs. I was talking to another creator on Lumastic about like kind of privacy concerns, like working in public, like to a lot of us feels really beneficial. A lot of our work is already in public. It's just that now Lumastic can give us kind of like a more collaborative space to actually do work rather than just sharing it after the fact or trying to share it during. But their concern was basically like, what if I like come up with a really good riff for a song or whatever and like share it out and then somebody like steals it, right, or whatever. And there's a lot of that already happens a lot, and like it's not really a huge deal, but it felt like a big deal to them. And I was thinking to myself, like, somebody should solve that problem, like make it kind of easier for creators to share stuff that is protected, like basically IP protection for creative work on the internet. And I think that NFTs are usable for that, right? Imagine if when you uploaded stuff to the internet, it was signed with your own signature, right? And so you know it came from you. And so then if it's found anywhere else, it can be somehow linked back. And then if you wanted to sue somebody for stealing your work, you can actually prove that, hey, this is actually mine. I don't know. That's an interesting thing that I'm sure somebody is working on, and I see that path forward.
So what do you think? I'm curious, like, what do you think of open source compared to IP, like those solutions? Because like I've been reading as a result of a class of more open source solutions, and like I'm a huge proponent of those because like inherently, like the ripple, like when you make any idea, there's going to be people out there doing the same thing. And so like I see it now, like if you really want to just innovate and break, like, yeah, we need to work so equity, because inherently when people do innovate, like smaller people, like the smaller guys and gals, they can get their work crushed by like big companies. But like inherently, a better, I feel like, society would be the open source solutions. Everyone knows what's up, like the Signal app.
Yep.
Like that's why people move in from WhatsApp to Signal. They like, it's open source nonprofit. They know what they're doing. Also collaborate more, and rather than putting money to sue people, just putting money into yourself and ideas is probably way more productive, honestly.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's kind of where we're at. Like we talk, Keith and I, when we like first were workshopping what Lumastic can be, right? It's like GitHub for the creative class, right? What GitHub did for software engineers, which allowed people to work really well on teams, but also like created this entire ecosystem for people being able to work on open source software really easily together. Like the reason open source is like eating the future of code development is like because of that infrastructure GitHub provided, and we're just kind of trying to do that for non-coding based projects, right? Where we get all the benefits of like having this big collaborative ecosystem where you can like work with people across the world to make something cool happen. And then it's like accessible to the next people down the line that need to learn what you guys had to do, right? It's the build on shoulders of giants. Like the entire framework that Lumastic is developed in is an open source project maintained by Facebook, right? Like that's what you enable. You enable more creativity the more you can like share what you've learned and make it really easy for somebody to incorporate that and put it in their thing and like and re-up and stuff. And we just need to figure out a really good way of citing our sources so that people at least get credit and acknowledgement that they did something, they contributed to this. And so that's also kind of the infrastructure we're trying to build with Lumastic. Is like, hey, this project is like inspired based on I'm collaborating with this person, whatever, on these things, and like you can kind of see a history of activity of like where you've been helpful and how you've been progressing forward. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And actually, I want to give you a prompt in some sense, because I think it would make good marketing examples. Sorry. Yeah. Ad, hashtag ad, like
hashtag ad,
hashtag ad. But this is, I feel like it is useful. What would you, because like a lot of people, I feel like open source is slept on in many ways. Like, yeah, the internet's out there, people can access, but there's like that hesitation. And you were just talking about like for Lumastic sense, like it was based off an open source, like Facebook framework. So like, if someone was sitting in front of you like right now and like I don't even know where to start, like they want to make a similar platform like Lumastic or let's just say web, the example is just a website, and they have an amazing idea. What would you tell them like today to start that creator journey, like similar to like, because like that's the beauty of open source is like there's someone out there like everyone, like innovations inherently just slightly tweaking something that already came before. Like UVA Jeffersonian architecture, like that's just, you look at the rotunda, like you think Greece, like you don't think like right? They just like slightly tweaked it and called it something else. But like but yeah, so back to, that was a complete tangent, but back to the what would you say, or like what would you kind of encourage maybe the creator who hasn't tapped into their creative confidence quite yet?
About like how to specifically make an app, or like just get started?
Get started. Like what advice would you?
Yeah, the biggest thing, so my biggest advice always, if you want to like start, if you have an idea and you want to make something real, first step is always to find other people who care, whether that's like the people you're going to build an app, a website, whatever for, or it's just like friends, confidants, people that could be on a team, whatever, so that you can start actually collaborating, because no one that ever did anything cool did it alone. And so you need people, you need help, you need support. And so like that's always, I'd say, step one. then if you're like trying to build something, the most important, very prevalent thing is like talk to the people you want to build something for. Like if you found a problem and all that stuff, that's where you go and you like learn as much as you possibly can, so that you can build a good thing and build it with them. They talk about that in like entrepreneurship effectuation as like co-creation. And I feel like that is actually kind of what we're trying to enable on Lumastic too, is like this idea of we get to co-create now products on the internet so much easier because we have an easily accessible space to say like, here's my thing, here's what we're working on, here's what we've done so far, all that stuff, here's a question I have, or here's like a piece of feedback I want, or like whatever it is. And you can invite, right, your stakeholders, whether that's like your team or like the people you're building for or whatever, and everybody can kind of talk and work in a kind of a collaborative environment, to make all that stuff, make that process of finding people and then getting started way easier. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense. Yeah, I completely.
Yeah.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag all these things, because that's really what we're trying to do. And this ties into the other thing we wanted to talk about, right, which was like how we're trying to do that better. So like, yeah, we've collected all this feedback and like it's very exciting, but it's also, we're now in like product brainstorm mode where we're like trying to revamp like the navigation of the website, like how we like talk about stuff and like show people how to use things. And the biggest frustration we've had is like, it is hard. You have to like build something. Like I've been working on like concept art and prototypes and all that stuff, so that you can show it to somebody and be like, is this it? Does this solve it? Does this look cool? Because the problem we ran into, I'd say the first, because Keith and I are software engineers, right? The pull is just to like make something, right? And I've been trying the second iteration to really resist that. Like try to, and I've failed a couple of times. Just like resist. Don't build anything. Like really test it out. Find people. Right. Let's go back to first principles of literally what I just said, and like have our little support engine network. Right. That we can say, hey, is this it? Right. Like talk to me more about your problems. Whatever. Hisham. Right. The ex co-founder, I guess now of Ripple. Pour one out for Hisham. Great guy, love him to death.
Temporarily stepping down because of work.
Temporarily stepping down, work on some other stuff, and we wish him all the best. But Hisham is one of the people that his experience with Notion as like a thing to try to like Notion and Trello to try to balance like Ripple and his personal stuff and work and all that stuff is like, that was really a frustration point. And I have a huge notes list of like all the things that problems he ran into. And so he's one of the people that I'm going to go back with our boards concept and be like, hey, this is like powerful as Notion, simple as Trello. Does this solve the problem? Right? Like, or does this solve like that specific, one of those specific problems you outlined? Right. And same thing kind of with like the chat system on Lumastic right now is very like, social oriented. Like you're making posts, when in reality, what we want and how we've kind of set up the infrastructure is for it to feel like, kind of like, I guess, group chats or like channels in Slack or something like that, where you can have collaborators talk in a space and also be able to talk to the community about the project. And so like trying to concept art that has kind of been very frustrating to me, because I'm such a, I am again trying to fight this urge, but I am such a like, I know what I want. I feel like I know what I want. I don't feel like I know what I want. I feel like I know what I don't want. And so then I make something and I'm like, oh, this looks like garbage, right? Like this isn't it. And then I tweak like every fucking little background color and like all this stuff to try to make the thing that feels right. But I'm trying to fight that and literally in this conversation, I'm realizing that I'm doing that way too much, so that I can just like make something that's shitty and bad, but it's clickable and like can kind of communicate, and then we show it to people, and we're like, what sucks about this, and then go back. And yeah, this literally just talking this out has been a big inspiration point for me, Joshua. That like I need to get over this hurdle and hump and just like put something out and like get everybody's feedback, and we will co-create this thing together, because that's really what we should be doing.
Wait, I have a question in regards to all the user feedback you're getting. How do you go about navigating how do you go about like culminating it? Like it's part of the whole like persona thing that like the UX designers develop. But like, how have you found that process? Because I'm sure you must get because everyone has, I've noticed, such different workflows, like in what they prefer and like how they use each one of these applications. How do you how's that process been in navigating all of these, pretty much just a storm of feedback, and you have to narrow it down to like make it good for this group?
Yeah. What's interesting and really telling is that it's not really as different as you would think from tool to tool, right? Like, you know the app Miro?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Miro board. So when we look at people's Miro boards, it's really interesting that like basically everyone always puts it in a grid. Like literally, like Miro is this like huge, big, like infinite whiteboard thing. You can put anything anywhere, and like 8 times out of 10, people put all the Post-it notes in a grid, right? And so like that's been really helpful. And like same thing then with why people use Trello, right? Is like this idea of like this card thing. And people are like making lists per project or whatever, and they're like trying to get lists to talk to each other, and like then you go and talk to people about Notion and how like people have to like. I am convinced. I think Notion's an awesome tool. I don't personally use it, and I am a computer scientist, but I really do feel like that is a productivity app built for computer scientists. Like it is
complex. Like it's
very complex, and but it's very powerful because of that. And so people like there are like entire communities that are like building and sharing kind of template apps for like habit trackers and dashboards and like all these things, so you can try to build like a personal homepage essentially. And just like where that breaks down is then that personal homepage doesn't communicate to the other workspaces in Notion that you're using for other projects. And like that's what happened to Hisham, and that's why he stopped using it. Is like I'm never here. Like I tell myself like I'll come here to do reflection journals and all these things, and I never do because I'm in other apps, other spaces, whatever, doing work. And so that all this feedback is really telling for us about like what people need really or want is like grid based like cards on boards, right? Like 10 out of 10 powerful applications that help you do really interesting use cases for work. So like with like embedding videos, right? Or like having galleries of images, or like I've had this idea of like it'd be really cool if you and I could share I could take this recording of the podcast, put it on a board in Lumastic for marketing or whatever, and then we could edit it, whatever, have a final version, and then drop that into an app on the board that uploads it to YouTube, Facebook, whatever, puts in the description for each that we only have to write once, and it just shoots it off, right? Like that stuff, that workflow then is like really powerful, but it can feel more simple than I feel like other applications make it. And that's really important. And it can be as extensible and customizable without being confusing. And, that's at least the vision in my head, and now it's the I have to design that out and then be like, does this do it, right? I love that feature idea. Like, you think it would be done.
And
Yeah.
probably
And I'm sure like there is some random ass website that like does it, but again, we want to be like tool library, right? Like we always had this concept of like co-working space, maker space on the internet, right? Like you and me, we can't afford laser cutter, right? And like all these things. But if we all went to a space with 50 other people and we just kind of have a laser cutter together, right? Then it makes it way easier. And so if we can convince, if we can get people to use the basic tools that we can build and then make it really easy for developers to build tools for cards on like Lumastic boards, then it's like gangbusters, right? The community gets to build tools to help all of the creators on the platform, right? This exactly this kind of this concept of like where GitHub has these open source projects that then people integrate with and like build repos together. And yeah, so that's the highlight reel we're going for. And then with the Slack channel idea, it's like rather than having, like I watched this YouTube video of somebody rolling through, a creator who's like rolling through their workflow, their stack, and like there are creators that have like 7 or 8 Slack organizations for like the same YouTube channel, right? Because it's like, I want, right? Because it's like you build a company that's not really like a company all of the time, right? It's like everybody's kind of a freelancer and you like work on projects together. And so like they're per project being like, okay, this is now the Slack group or group chat or whatever for like this specific project. And then like I have different ones for talking to my marketing team and for people who are working on the titles and thumbnails and like all these things. And it would be really nice then if we can build a tool that allows you to have kind of channels and chat that is project specific, right? And so you can add collaborators of the same people to multiple channels, right? You could create an organization or like what we're kind of thinking about rebranding based off of Stir, like a collective of creators, of people that you work with often, right? And then those people are then, you could add more or whatever, like just making it really easy. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but like making it really easy for everybody to be individuals who work together on stuff in the same space. And to not have to have everything be siloed because it's all part of the same larger scope of like your creative work, your creative body of work. It's just that we need to structure everything differently. So it's like by the project with outside collaboration and like building the tools and infrastructure that make it easy for you to create your own workflow either per project or per person, but have it be able to work seamlessly with other people. And that's like a lot of words. And again, like that sounds really fucking awesome and cool. And it does to me. And I'm like really pumped about it. But now it's the point of we have to make something that does that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, so are you like, have you started, like where are you at right now in terms, are you going like tool by tool, first getting a structure down for the website? Like,
yeah. So I feel have like kind of base structure, but I need to actually write that down so that because right now it's like in this big Adobe XD doc that I'm working in, but that's like not a really great way to communicate to the rest of team and like as we like build people out, bring on advisors, creators, like people to help collaborate on this thing. Like it'd be helpful to have just a simple document that's like, this is how the website should work, right? And then it's been me working in XD to try to like come up with mock-ups, because I do feel most of the time that is the best way to communicate to somebody. Like click around, right? Like I'll click around to show you, or you click around and like explore and like let's figure out what this thing where it's good, where it's not, and try to see where the communication barrier is. It's just that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of also just prototypes and like XD. Like I used it for Arena Labs a lot, and it was just like even observing people click through it, it gives you so much insight that like you just would never get on yourself, because you eventually stare at that for so long, you're like, nice, and then you give it to someone, you're like, I need to fix that blatant problem right now. Like
yeah, exactly. And like what's tough what's tough for me is like I do a lot of like I think you saw the basic wireframe I put out, but like the wireframes are never really that useful unless it's an like an iOS app, right? Where it's like the screen is very small and like there's one thing you do and like the wireframe is a storyboard essentially. With something like this that's like a workplace tool that's really got a lot going on, it requires more fidelity, I think, to communicate. Because if you don't have the fidelity and you're not like showing what things are more prevalent than others and like all this stuff, which you can't really do when everything is just the same color and gray and like all that jazz, it's easier when it's higher fidelity and like you can really show people and communicate. It takes way more time to make that happen. And so it's this line between like, when is the prototype enough that I can show it to somebody and like it doesn't look like complete garbage, but not spending too much time where it's like over made and we're gonna have to iterate it anyway, and so like just put it out sooner, right? That's the tough part.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot on the horizon.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. We've also started test-driven development for the actual code base, which is really cool. For a long time, I have struggled to figure out how like UI testing works, because like Heath has been writing tests for the back end to make sure that permissions work correctly and like just to make sure the actual communicating to the database and all that stuff works well. But it's always been a big struggle to do that to me on the UI side, because it's hard to test code that's going to show up in somebody's browser and like it's clicked and all these things, right, to make sure that works well. But really it was just me not taking the time to really delve in, because people have figured this shit out and it's actually not that bad. And that's what Sarah's doing right next to me. It's just like writing tests to make sure that now when we build new features or whatever, we can make sure things aren't breaking when we do it. So it's cool.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Okay, wait, Joshua, what else we got? We're at 37 minutes.
37.
Questions for me, thoughts, things. Oh, wait, no, I already talked about this last week that we brought on Jeff. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's not new. What other things are new? Sarah's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's been a lot of us just like I wish I could easily tilt my camera to show you like the whiteboard of like us trying to make this shit look fine and happen. But yeah, questions, comments, concerns. What things are you working on, Joshua?
I was gonna ask you what's in the coming week horizon, like what's near term, like what's
near term
plans for the next week.
Well, super near term is like everybody from Lighthouse has been coming onto the website. We like sent out the referral link and like people can sign up and make their projects and stuff like that. And so that's exciting. They're going to start the cohort in like a couple of weeks. So we've been really just like, that's why we're ramping up testing and all these things, is because we're going to try to get into a really good feedback groove with these people, right? These creators, these entrepreneurs, right? That are going to be coming onto the thing. So we then have, right, like 60 freaking people that we can say, hey, is this it? Like, is this like, does this solve a problem like that you're experiencing either with the website currently, or like show us other places that you're like collaborating on these things? Like, can we solve something there, do it better? Like, blah, blah, blah. But it's like we've taken like big block of cheese problem. And this was something I was talking about with one of our advisors a couple days ago, is like, this is huge. Like we're coming to terms with like, we had in our heads maybe we could be like, you know, family business software company, right? like we'll run Lumastic, just like bootstrap it and like make it happen and all these things. And this problem is way too big for us to do that, which is something we've realized. It was like a little like one of our I guess he's technically a mentor or whatever, but said like, Drew, you're trying to your goal is like you're gonna pan around in the darkness, but you're like, but we'll be ninjas, like like we'll just like be ninjas and we'll figure it out. And he was like, when in reality, if you care a lot about solving this problem and doing it right for like the people we serve, like then you should probably get some more resources to really make sure that you can do it right.
Yeah.
Like it's fine to try to be ninjas, but it probably behoove the company, right, and like our customers, like the creators, like if we could have a truck and some gasoline and like maybe a torch or like like something like that, so we're not just like panning around in the darkness. And so that thinking of scale has been really helpful but also frightening. It's like, because right, this is big thing, like we could be huge collaboration platform for the creative class, like fucking nutso, and then it's just like trying to figure out what that actually means. And like we have a concept, right, an idea of like based on the feedback how we could solve problems in the creative workflow to make this all happen, but inevitably we're going to be wrong about something. And it's like trying to figure out how to test out the assumptions and like how to make sure we don't go too deep down a path and like not reflect back and like check in with people. That's why like one of the things I'm working on, Joshua, is reaching out to like creators across YouTube and like basically all across the internet, and get kind of get sessions with them to like get some feedback and just like talk about what we're building, and like do essentially more user interviews, but more with creators in that space than like just the entrepreneurial people. And in that way also try to ask some of them like, hey, if you're like interested in this and like want to be more a part of it, would you be interested in coming on as like on our like creator advisory board, right, where we like actually have people who are the people we want to serve be on our cap table, right? Like be advisors, like build those partnerships in a really intense way to like signal to everyone, like the entire community, but also like investors and everybody, like we are in this, right? And we are co-creating this with the leaders in the industry. Like I feel like that's just so important to us also, so that we can have that constant connection to the people like who have now vested interest in like, yes, like this should exist and we'll help you and all these things, like because it's like a help us help you and yeah, I don't know, I just really I love that idea and that concept, and the fact that like we could have people that like I've loved like watching from afar for years, like be here and like be ready for this like coming wave and like help us build the boat that's gonna like sail us off, right, like to this new world order. So that was a big old diatribe, but
have you heard back from anyone, like any creators, even like, or are you reaching, is that like on the down low?
That it's not on the down low, but I've been trying. I watched a video on like how to network your way to people who are like way more upper echelon than you, and they're like, break the ice, right? Like start responding to them on Twitter, right? Like do all these things, like, and start showing off like that you're a human that cares a lot about this and is working in this thing. So I've gotten back on Twitter. Follow me at It's Just Druid. Because yeah, that's been kind of my first step foray in this, is like let me and also it's a helpful tool to find others, right? Because there there's like the Colin and Samirs and the Legions and like all these Sarah Dietschys of the world, and we probably have to start a little lower tier and work our way up there. Colin and Samir, though, they're so fucking awesome. I love them to death. And I think that if I made a video that was like, yo, like I'm working on this thing, I want to talk to you guys about how we help creators like collaborate and make shit on the internet, they'd be like, yeah, man, like let's fucking do it. Like yeah, they're sick. I love them. I've been following them since they had like 20,000 subscribers. And now I think they almost hit 300K. And so I've been joking in my head, like I just need to DM them or something and be like, yo, before you get to 1 million and will literally never talk to me. Like I want to talk to you about this thing.
You should. You never know. Who is it? Oh, my friend was sending me a clip. I don't follow this podcast, but it was someone who was friends with Post Malone before, and then was just explaining like, yeah, Post Malone ghosts me nowadays. He's too busy.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that's the thing. We need more cred, and that's also a tie into the conversation about like raising money, which we're obviously in this new vein of, okay, we're gonna go big, right? Like we're really gonna. We believe that like we can solve this in a unique way that like isn't being done and needs to be, and so like let's play, right? And so if we're gonna do that, then I'm not announcing anything, but we are going to raise a significant amount of money and really go hard, like play hardball and like not just play, but try to win. And in that vein, doing that and having that predication and like thought behind it and all that stuff, makes it then easier to go to somebody and be like, no, I'm serious. Like, I want to talk to you. This is like really important to me. I've like staked my life on this. Like here's who's backed us, like all that stuff. Like we're ready to go. And we would just want to talk to you about like getting your feedback and like maybe being a part of this in some way. And yeah, so that, again, that helps build cred when you're trying to go to people who are super fucking busy, because creators do a lot of fucking work. And get probably a lot of people contacting them over the internet. Like, hey, would you check out my startup?
I'm sure I did reach out to so many people for Ripple when we were doing live events. And I was that person. Hey, like, I know I only have 300 followers, but like, you want to take time not doing the big money stuff and talk?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm like, I want 20 minutes, right? I'm gonna run through a deck of like what the fuck we're doing, and then Ask is gonna be like, and we're trying to build this creative advisory board, right? And just like run through a 5, have 15 minutes questions and talk, and then like dip, right? Be super to the point and just be like, I know you're fucking busy. It's kind of the reason we're building our website. So like I'm just gonna take a little bit of your time because I think this could be really cool and powerful for both of us, right? And for the ecosystem, because that's another thing that I love is that like, and drew me to this like back in 2007 is that like the creator community is so tight, like because it's like shared struggle to the max, and also like honestly sometimes shared trauma, like and so it's actually such a supportive place. It's just that like actually there's so much noise that like actually making those connections and building that community, again, something we're trying to solve. It's like
I was like, this is a good moment to shout out the Spark Spotlight with Jen, because that was literally about that, like the community aspect of it and like that shared trauma. Man, I watched that thing twice just because of how good it was. I was like hooked on the conversation. I mean, I was doing the time thing in the beginning, but I had to go back to process some of the things. But yeah.
Yeah, and the one with Destin coming out on Monday, I think is going to be really powerful too, because he encapsulates like he is proof that like people building YouTube channels are building businesses, which is still something that people don't fully most people don't fully understand. We understand that, right? But it is still hard for people to comprehend. And Destin's story, I think, really highlights this fact, and just the way that he thinks about entrepreneurship as a content creator is like really great. And he's really early, but he's already had like some really great traction points. Like the NBA is sponsoring his YouTube channel that currently has less than 200 subscribers. And yeah, and like that, because that's his thing is like, why would I spend so much time building out content to try to build audience to then try to monetize? Why don't I go as a business, right? Like, hey, I'll make this content if you'll pay for it, right? Yeah. And I think that that's such a freelance mindset that then translates to, hey, let's partner and I'll build my YouTube channel and you'll get basically ground floor access as like, and we can like help each other build out this content. Cause like, he's basically being the spokesperson for NBA 2K, the like esports league, and the game. And so he makes videos basically about the NBA 2K esports community. And so the NBA is thinking like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is content that we're not making, no one's making, but will be really important for us building the business that is NBA esports, right? And so cool, like, yeah, let's partner with this guy. We'll sponsor his content while he grows, and like, boom, it'll be a great deal. It's like basically helping him as a creator build his audience and build his business will be beneficial for my business. And like, that's powerful. And I think that's a great new way forward for how digital creators can get started, right? Because it used to be, right, like me, when I was building Curiository, like I was in the slog trying to put out a new video every week. No one is paying me. I'm doing this in my free time, all that stuff. And it's really fucking hard. And it shouldn't be that hard. Yeah. Right? Like, if we have infrastructure and systems, and these are all systems that are from entrepreneurship, right? Like, first thing anybody told me to do, which I didn't completely end up doing, was like, go sell your product to a customer before you have the product built, right? And then you get to co-create it with your customer, and like it's a great relationship that then turns into you helping get the next customer and all that stuff. And so that tools and tips and tricks in the startup entrepreneurship world can be applied now to creator business, because more people are seeing the benefit of like, oh yeah, the NBA should have like a bunch of esports content, and like, cool, we'll like sponsor a bunch of creators and like we'll make that happen. YouTube did that back in 2010 when they did $100 million to 100 creators. And they made this fund, and they like funded a bunch of YouTube channels. So like, I don't know if you know Philip DeFranco or like Crash Course, Rhett and Link, all of those creators were people that got these grants from YouTube or from Google. They got $1 million to build out a channel on YouTube that was like higher quality than cat videos and all that stuff. And it was an investment in the partnership between a business and the creator. And like, that just needs to happen way more so that more creators can start getting paid as they build.
Yeah. I was literally going to say this would be awesome for Ripple, because it's like, we have all this content we want to put out. We think that it needs to be a centralized place for like just hearing about people's jobs in the day-to-day. We think job descriptions are super bland, and when you go to apply, you like don't really know what the job is other than the one they're marketing to you. So like, why not share more perspectives and just have one place that shows so many perspectives of different jobs that people probably don't even know are out there? And you think it's ridiculous,
exactly,
but like there has to be an easier way for people to like go find person. Like, that's the thing. It's like the internet's awesome. We can get as much information, but like, people are interested in the perspectives. Like, you go after careers where you usually see yourself in someone, like whether it's
in someone,
not some job description. Like, titles might look appealing for the moment, but once you go and like, you're like, wait, this might not be the job for me. And so like, that's another thing. It's like, we want to scale this content and market it, and it's like really hard when you don't. It's just hard to put like, if you want to put a lot of content, put the editing in, like single person, and then you get like creative burnout almost if you not treat it like a person, or like you don't get that investment to like help you really kind of kickstart it. And it's not like a lot that would be needed. It's just like a little push from like a company, and you could contribute to something amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about finding those mutually beneficial partners.
Yeah.
Like we've started to think about this, about our growth plan for Lumastic, right? That's like why part of the reason we want to go and build this creative advisory council and all these things is like, and why we're going and doing that with what I call creators. There are people who make content about the creator industry. And it's because their audience is our audience, right? The thing we build is beneficial to them and all the people that they serve, right? And so this is a mutual benefit if we can make something work where like we give them early access, we get their feedback, bring them on this advisor channel, give them like small amount, like advisor stake equity in the company, like whatever. And then when we feel like we've like iterated and got something good, they can go to their audience and be like, hey, we're opening up I've been advising this thing. It's really fucking cool. Here's the rundown. We're opening up 200 early access spots, right? Like use this link. First 200 people can get in, right? And then we can build out and like get more feedback, whatever, till we have something good. We've figured out content moderation and all these things, and then we launch. And yeah, it's like, again, it's a better way of like building your business through partnership. I think is a huge thing, not only for entrepreneurs, but it can be huge for people in creator business. So, or creators starting businesses. 100. Yeah, killer.
Awesome.
Joshua, this has been fantastic. I always enjoy this, even though I've slept late through the last two. But thank you as always for being here. Thanks for being such a great, strong supporter. What do we want to say in this outro? What are our asks?
Asks.
I've got a couple in mind. Like if you or somebody you know is somebody who cares a lot about the creator economy, creator business, please get in touch. You can email me at drew@lumastic.com. Follow me on Twitter at It's Just Drew. What's another way you can contact me? I don't know. My address is my social security number. You can also find me on Lumastic, but you won't be able to log in. So
I'm even cool with people reaching out to me if they want referrals to this really cool ecosystem.
There we go. Yeah, if you want a referral into the website, and like comment below, right? Yeah, that's big ask. Another big ask is like, actually, yeah, go request access on our website, because that actually logs your email, so we can actually contact these people later. So that we can provide you with a prototype, feedback, all these things, so that you don't have to use the get access to the current version of the website for us to get your feedback. Yeah. What other asks you have, Joshua?
Other asks.
Joshua needs a place in Baltimore. He needs a nice place in Baltimore.
Yeah, I need a place in Baltimore, preferably, and really close to the hospital. Yeah, no. Yeah, I think those are asks. Once you get on Lumastic, post on Lumastic, always share. Mm-hmm. I think that should always be an ask. Always share what you're working on.
Always share with us what you're working on, either in the comments down below, or on Lumastic, or on TikTok at LumasTikTok. All the places, because that's what this is all about, is like, right, encouraging and enabling the dreams of others and helping people make cool shit in the world. Cool. Joshua, righteous, thanks as always. And to you, dear audience, thank you for being part of the Lumastic Live. We are going to start to try to do these as a live stream once we get me to actually figure out a time that we can have a set schedule to do that. But for now, just a little podcast, some clips. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Joshua, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.